Mm. Hi, welcome back to Cake's Kitchen. My name is Jake Olson. I'm a graduate of Indiana University with a Bachelor of Kinesiology and Health Fitness. I'm a current Master of Public Health student at Indiana University. I've really been lacking on the videos lately. Busy time of the year right now. Been working a lot, trying to save up a lot of money, getting ready for the next school year, finalizing my teaching contract. So it's just been a busy time, but I'm finally getting the alcohol video done. So this was a video I floated the idea of on Instagram. A lot of people wanted to hear more about it. And a lot of people asked me about it in person, so here it is. Today we're going to be talking about why I think alcohol laws in the United States are broken and what could be changed to fix them. Keep in mind, this video will be referring to alcohol the entire time, but you could apply similar concepts to marijuana and tobacco as well. So, without further ado, to start simply and bluntly, alcohol laws in our country do not work as they're intended. This 2016 study by the NIH found that 57.2% of college students drank and 38% binge drank. The NIH also found that in 2016, over 1,500 students died as a result of drinking. So, when I say alcohol laws don't work, if the intent of the law is to prevent alcohol related deaths and to prevent those from under the age of 21 from consuming alcohol, if over half of the target population is still consuming alcohol, regardless of the law, then the law clearly doesn't work. And anecdotally, just think about when you first started drinking alcohol. I was 16 years old when I first drank, and most of my friends started drinking when they were 15. I would say almost everyone I went to high school with growing up, or everyone in my fraternity in college, had drank by the time they were 18. So these are just more examples of alcohol laws not producing their intended outcome. Let's talk about how we got where we are. In 1984, President Ronald Reagan signed into law the National Minimum Drinking Age Act, that in fewer words essentially raised the drinking age to 21 nationally. This was done after pressure from Mothers Against Drinking and Driving, and one of the largest sources of evidence used for the argument to make the drinking age 21 was that the brain is more developed at 21 than 18 years old, and therefore young adults will be more responsible at 21 as opposed to 18, and less likely to drink and drive. That was the thought process, at least at the time. The graph on the right from the U.S. Department of Transportation shows that over time, drinking and driving fatalities have in fact gone down. And organizations like Mothers Against Drinking and Driving use this data to support their claim that raising the minimum drinking age was a success. Keep in mind that this is not a graph of DUIs cited per year. That data I could not find. This is a graph of drinking and driving fatalities over the years. While Mothers Against Drinking and Driving use this data as a marker of success, it's unlikely that raising the drinking age is the cause for the reduced fatalities. In the upper left-hand corner, you'll see the minimum drinking age in each state in 1983 prior to the 1984 Minimum Drinking Age Act. The age to consume was different in every state. So the theory is that 18-year-olds in Indiana, for example, would drive up to Michigan where they could legally drink, and then they would drive home drunk and get in an accident crossing state lines. It's very likely that raising the minimum drinking age was not the variable that caused the decline in fatalities, but rather making the drinking age uniform from state to state, reducing the miles driven drunk as the variable that reduced fatalities. It's also worth noting in the upper right-hand corner a picture of the most popular vehicle in America in 1985, and in the lower right-hand corner, the most popular vehicle in America in 2018. Thought it was interesting. They were both Ford F-150s, but cars have simply become much safer. There's more airbags, more safety features. Every car is required to have seatbelts now. It's more common to wear them. This makes driving fatalities a flawed statistic to measure whether the law was effective or not, because the amount of drunk driving and accidents could be the same. People are simply more likely to survive these accidents with safer cars. A better statistic would be DUIs issued, but of course that data is unavailable. So you may be thinking, I understand the law is the way it is, why the data shows it's not working, but what's really wrong with the law? Like, what could be a better law? Or what makes more sense? How could this law be changed to protect young adults who are drinking regardless of the law? What I propose is that the drinking age be lowered to 18 years old at a minimum. I believe the classic arguments still hold some value. At 18, you can go to war for this country, you can vote in a Congress and a president, you can sign up for debt that could financially ruin you for life, but you can't purchase a glass of wine at dinner. I mean, that doesn't really seem fair, right? But I also think that making the drinking age 21 because you're more responsible is such a flawed metric. Age is a terrible way to measure responsibility. I think a more appropriate way to measure responsibility, and something that everyone in the United States in 2020 is expected to do, is graduate high school. Therefore, in order to purchase and consume alcohol as well as tobacco and marijuana, I propose that the minimum age should be 18, but also require a high school diploma or a GED equivalent on top of the minimum age. To graduate high school requires showing up most days, doing your homework, and at least getting a C average. High school is also free for everyone in the United States, therefore should not bar any groups from completing this milestone. If there are certain circumstances that cause someone to not graduate high school, getting your GED can be done in a single day. Both these things are not incredibly difficult and may not prove that you're super responsible, but it's far better than what we currently use to measure responsibility. To turn 21, you need to literally not die for 21 years. You literally just need to make sure that you consume food and breathe for 21 years. And in the eyes of the government, you are now responsible enough to consume alcohol. That's why the drinking laws are so flawed. There's no correlation between responsibility and age. But graduating high school has at least some correlation with the responsibility. Again, as highlighted before, I understand that in the past, graduating high school wasn't as necessary as it is today. That's why anyone born before 2010 would simply be grandfathered in. And again, as discussed before from the NIH, we know the majority of college students are drinking. That's just a fact. But it's happening at fraternity parties and house parties as seen in the picture above. If young adults are going to drink anyway, I would prefer it be moved to bars, restaurants, and nightclubs, which is likely to happen if the law were to change. At house parties, no one's looking out for your safety other than yourself. At a very minimum, at bars and clubs, there are security staff and security systems in place to keep you safe. At these bars and nightclubs, EMS services are more likely to be contacted when a situation arises as opposed to a house party. Dangerous drinking that happens at house parties is often what leads to young adults dying. People at these parties are too scared to call the police. These kind of situations are far less likely to happen at a bar or a nightclub. And lastly, one of the huge reasons the drinking age doesn't work is it's so common for a 21-year-old to know a 20-year-old. Think about yourself right now. Do you know a 20-year-old or a 19-year-old? Probably. And these people buy alcohol for them. It's less likely, though, for non-high school graduates and high school graduates to run in the same circles. They may know each other, but being close enough to each other to buy alcohol for one another is unlikely. While it'd be naive to assume that non-high school graduates would be unable to find alcohol, I believe that would happen at a lesser rate than with the current law. So again, in summary, I believe that lowering the drinking age to 18 but requiring a high school diploma or a GED equivalent is a far better metric for measuring responsibility to allow drinking. I believe that this new law would also move drinking that is currently already going on from behind closed doors to safer, more public areas like bars and nightclubs. It would also likely have other positive unintended benefits, like more young people feeling the need to graduate high school or get a GED. And to finish off, I don't believe there are very many cons, but rather large logistic boundaries to the new law. First of all, everyone would have to get new ID cards that have a sticker of some sort that shows that you graduated high school. Issuing all these new ID cards could take a long time and be very expensive. Second, the DMV or DOT or every state has a different name for this department, whatever your state calls it, it would need to start keeping track of everyone's transcript records. It may not be that hard because transcripts are all electronic these days anyway, but the DMV is already slow, super slow, and this would just add one more thing that they have to take care of, probably slow them down. But the largest logistical issue is the 21st Amendment to the Constitution, which makes alcohol laws a state's right. This is an issue because the only way the law could work is if it was federal and uniform throughout the country. It would create major issues if Indiana passed the law and Ohio didn't. Say someone from Ohio without proof of a high school graduation visited Indiana. They would have no way to purchase alcohol. However, I do think if solutions to these logistic issues could be found, drinking would be moved into safer environments and better for the health and safety of the nation as a whole. Thanks again for watching, guys. Please leave your thoughts down in the comments below. See you next time.